So much room for activities. With the cab up this high, I was able to get an impact on all those bolts just easy. It was nice. Not bad, not bad. Get that sucker out of there. Making room for this. Okay, so we've had some mishaps. That motor, the original one, it's wore out. The bearings, the cranks got scuffs in it. The cylinders are, all the cross hatch is gone. It's got 500,000 K on it, so we figured just rebuild it. And so then this motor is a motor engine that I had, but it's no good either. So we took the pan off and it's rusty. It's been sitting in the shed for 10 years. So, but I'm just gonna mock everything up with this one. I have to yank it out again. So that's that, and just got South Bend clutch on. The starter doesn't fit. We need a spacer. Got his turbo on, just for intercooler piping and all that stuff. Motor mounts, they're not tight. They're all slotted and stuff. So yeah, just gonna get it in there and see how it lines up. All right, so we got a Fummins. Had to move the tranny back 2 inches. Just cut this out with the zip disc and moved her back 2 inches. Put a plate in there. Put a little plates on the side. Super easy. Just need some paint and I can bolt the tranny down. We're getting there. Got the cab set back down. Went down no problem. Got lots of room in here, which is nice. There's like 4 or 5 inches at the back. I can reach my hand all the way around behind. No clearance issues at all. That shock, I need to move that end down a whisker. No big deal. Got to hook up my intake. This is the Banks one, so we want to use it. And just hook up all the cab stuff. Should be good. Got my cross member done. It's installed. Front drive shaft, we're gonna have to, we don't have to, but for the longevity of the splines, we're gonna lengthen that one and shorten the rear one. It is there by like 43 mils, I think should do. So got to build a spacer for between there so it bolts to the water neck housing just right in here because it does flex a little bit. So just don't want to end up with cracked piece. Got to get a throttle linkage set up. I can't do anything about the power steering yet because it's a different pump on the engine that we're going to use in this truck. This is just for mocking up purposes. So we can just swap the other one in when this one's done because it's at the shop getting rebuilt right now. Yeah, so we'll throw all the battery boxes back in. Do up all the power steering except for the pump here, but all that stuff with the cab can get done up. That truck has a vacuum pump, so we don't need one on the engine, so that just simplifies things. We're going to use the reservoir for the power steering that comes with the 6.4 over there in the rad support. And yeah, should be pretty good. The AC compressor is forward, and so is the alternator. And so the AC, and it's in like the same spots too. So all the wiring and the hoses for the AC lines will all just bolt back up, no problem. The tensioner bracket here, they sent the wrong bolts, these small heads, so we're just waiting on them sending new bolts because I don't have any. And then they're going to send the proper spacers for this alternator too. I guess I just forgot. And also the spacer for the starter back there. So the starter bolts to the adapter just fine, but it hits the flywheel. So I just mocked it up when it was on the engine stand, and it hit the flywheel, the snout did. So he's sending a spacer for that. That's Mike Fuchs on Facebook. I guess is where that stuff came from, and the adapter. And the clutch hub is over here. I'll have to put that on yet. So we were running the 6.4 fan. That's off the school bus. Doesn't fit. So we've got one ordered for off a truck. Get that on there. And yeah, should be pretty good. The only real fabrication or like modifications that we need to do are the drive shafts, the shock mount, this bolting in here, need the throttle bracket here, and move the boot for the clutch or the gear shift, as it is a standard truck. It's through the floor. It's just this boot is needs to get kind of moved or reset or something, and then the pedal bracket needs to get made. So, and that's pretty much the only things that need to get, like, you know, modified or whatever. Everything else should just bolt right back up. I mean, other than charge pipes and coolant, other than the charge pipes and the coolant and everything else I just listed. So it should be not bad, actually. Just do one piece at a time, and it's not a big deal. Guys can get overwhelmed when they do projects, but really, you just need to do one thing and then do the next thing and just do the next thing. And pretty soon you're half done. So Ford has these spring clamp ends or whatever. I don't really know too much about them, but they seem decent. And so this fitting going to this expansion tank, I cut off the hard plastic band here, like that one, and it's just a barbed fitting there, so just put a hose clamp on here, and this is the hose that came with the DCS kit. So that's really nice. I like that, actually. So this can stay, and you can just use your spring clamp like normal. Should be pretty good. Got this coolant kit from DCS. Took my center support out, kind of as many or as one big a piece as I could get. So just going to mock up all my charge piping and my heater hoses. Get that all done. My AC lines and stuff, make sure that all fits. So just get this charge pipe up here so I know where to clock the turbo. I'm gonna have to have it go, I think, as far that way as I can get it. Pretty well pointing out straight that way. So it'll clear the intake piping. And this one is going to be pointing that way. So I actually think it'll be pretty easy. This upper one anyway. So that's good. So DCS wants you to cut all these hoses in certain spots. But I want to get the rad on there and just verify everything before I cut, because, well, I just don't trust it. So I'm going to get the rad on there, and then I'll see if these are right or not for me. Hopefully it is. Working on charge pipes. Try to make some of these fit together. I got a side mount ram horn off the bus, and so I got to make it fit this. It's going to be a little tight, not going to lie. But a little cutting, we got a whole bunch of extra pipes we can cut and weld and fit together. Should be able to make both pipes today, no problem. Charge piping is done. These pipes here are both the factory Ford one. I did nothing to this one. I just added on this little bit here. The bus turbo had this flange on here and it bolted up to his new turbo. So that works really good. Nice B-bend there. This one I actually cut a little bit shorter so I could put a bend in it to fit here. But I would say most of you guys are going to have, hopefully have one that comes out the front. And that'll save you a bunch of piping. Yeah, so now I got to tighten the bolts on the turbo so it doesn't spin anymore. And then I got to get this coolant to go onto that guy there. Then get all the heater hoses and stuff figured out too. Waiting on some 4-inch piping for this intake. Need to make a 180 there. All right, looking good, looking good. One thing off the list at a time. Top rad hose. I don't know how close it's going to be to the fan. That's what I'm just going to have to wait and see, I guess. I got an elbow there, coupler there, size increaser there from the DCS kit, some aluminum tubing. This is from the DCS kit too. And I think I'll just do a coupler right here because this is aluminum and this is steel. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit more of a pain with this straight up water neck. Definitely, if you use the one that they recommend, would be easier, especially when you buy their kit. It's just, you know, save a couple hours worth of work. Okay, got the upper heater hose, I think, done. Not heater hose, rad hose. It's just straight in line with the fan shroud, so I'm not sure. I don't have the clutch yet, so can't really quite mock it up. The bottom rad hose, I pretty much just cut apart the bottom rad hose and just rearranged it. Fits in there. This is the Mike Fuchs water neck on the bottom. It is too small for this rad hose, so I'm just going to have to weld on. Come on. Oh, I don't even have a spring on there. Tight. So this is the original bottom piece. I cut the plastic ring off, shortened it here a bunch, cut it here. I think I flipped this piece because this is the DCS kit that I'm using, but it doesn't exactly match up with the Mike Fuchs kit. So we've got like half of each one. So same with the fill neck or the thermostat housing. This is an elbow off of a Dodge truck. And then this is the adapter that comes with the DCS kit. And then I have a piece of aluminum pipe that I had. And this is the pipe that comes with the DCS kit. I think I can just put a coupler in there. And this is just the top rad hose. And it seems to fit pretty good. around this neck here, and there'll be a sensor right there. So I'm hoping there's enough room here. And this charge pipe is just clears, doesn't touch. So I think that'll all be good as long as the fan doesn't hit here. So once I get that fan installed, then I can test that. It's coming along though pretty good. So I think I'm ready now to pull the rad support out again and then build the spacer here for support and fix that water neck on the bottom. And then hopefully I'll have the fan clutch I can put on and get that mocked up. Coming along pretty good. A couple things checked off the list today. I just made a list getting down to the last few things. Coming along pretty good. This is the AC that needs to get, it's like 4 inches too short, unfortunately. Put the belt on. I think this is a Dodge belt. I'm gonna have to grind this back of this off so the belt rides down there. It's a narrower pulley. I think that'll work. Just grind that off and it'll be fine. Dodge tensioner, 80s truck. I got the smooth pulley off of a school bus tensioner, Denso tensioner. Everything else, alignment looks okay. Okay, I kind of got a belt routing kind of figured out. Haven't decided if I'm going to pin this or not on the backside. There's no pin. All the other tensioners have pins. Like that one. So, gonna have to figure that out. If it'll hold with just the bolt or not, I'm not sure. Give it a go, I guess. Good. Happy this is, I think I got the water pump turning the right way. And whatnot, so yeah. Looking pretty good. Now I gotta build this coupler for here. Size this because this is a size too big for this neck. The DCS kit must come with a different neck. But yeah, so this is the Ford compressor and Ford alternator. And it doesn't fit. So the neck fits good around the hoses of the because there's not a lot of room right there to fit them. It fits pretty good. Just need different coolant hose. Pretty minor. It's the clutch for the compressor. If I just take this inside one and make it the same as these ones, I think that will solve my belt issue. Got my compressor pulley turned down. Seems to fit pretty good on there. Got one extra rib now. It used to have 2 lips. So now I'll just install it. Pulled it off with just a standard 3-jaw. Pull the snap ring, pull the bolt out. Comes right off. No big deal. I just gave it a little bit of heat on that bearing and it slid right on. Just a few seconds with my little handheld propane torch there. Slid right on. Make sure no flame touches the dust seal. And it should be good. So now I'll take that bolt out that I used for the puller, put it back together. And just like that, you have a bad day. Pretty new at this lathe stuff. Just turn this down from 3/8 to 11/32 on here. Took me a couple tries. I had it's a bit of hardened spot there. I don't know if it was an old weld or something, but it kind of dug in tool started moving in the holder, dug in. But that fits beauty. Yeah, that's nice and tight. Got this adapter made. Fits over top of there. Then I'll weld it. Got some ultra gray I'll put on there too. This goes on the end here. Should be nice. This just fits good. So I'll put some ultra gray in there, press it on because it is a snug fit, and then weld her up. Okay, I couldn't just leave it. Holy smokes, that was tight. I think it looks pretty good. I don't even know if I need to weld it. I was just going to weld this back. Had to weld it. Okay, I've got this NPT fitting on here. It's a 1/4 inch by 18, I think. National pipe thread. And so if I go, check it out here, 1/4, 18, I need a 7/16 drill bit. There we go. All right. Now these are tapered, so you can run them in too far. I just want that sensor to nicely poke through there. So I'm going to go some more. Just about flush. I'm sure when it tightens, it will go flush. Yep. There. Done. I'll put some dope on it, but there. Get all the... Good. Heater hose. Cut the Ford one off of that plastic ring that was on there where that clamp is. And then this is that DCS hose. It's got that expansion on the end there. Just put it on there. And then I cut this one at the 90. And then put their adapter in there and it'll run down. And there's a fitting here that I just don't have yet. So that'll go there nice and easy. And then this top one will go there. It'll get routed better once the charge pipe and intake is on. But yeah, just there for now. get trimmed accordingly. But yeah, so heater hoses done. I may put a 90 on here, a riser, and then a 90 going that way, just to make it nice. The shifter boot should be sealed enough. Keep the dirt out, dust out. The bottom side gets squished up against the floor. Got the boot for the transmission. I had to cut the floor out like 1/2 inch to clear the bolts that hold the top on. And this factory silicone thing, I've trimmed this down a bunch to try to get it to fit, but it doesn't want to fit. So because I had to move it towards the back of the truck because we moved the tranny, and there was going to be like a 2-inch gap at the front, and then just wasn't going to work. Or there'd be like, if you tried to stretch it, there'd be a big gap at the front. So I figured I would just make some rubber piece fit in there. And it is sandwiched in between that plastic piece and the floor. So in between here and the floor, there's these 2 screws, and it wedges in at the front. I think it'll be fine. You don't see it anyway because this cover goes on. Factory Dodge clutch, Ford 6.4 fan. That's the clutch. Got a Dodge clutch on here. This is the Ford fan. That adapter is a Mike Fuchs fan adapter. And so it fits pretty nice, actually. Kind of like it. Looks pretty good. Got the downpipe welded up, or tacked up. It's 4-inch. Got this band clamp here. V-band type style to go onto the turbo. It's flat. And then I'm waiting on the V-band for this end, which I'll weld on. And I think this pipe's I'm gonna put a bracket here to bolt it solid to the engine or the transmission. It'll probably get a bolt here to the transmission somewhere, just to keep this pipe rigid and keep that stress off of it. And then it can flex down further down past the V-band. Put a flex in or something. But yeah, because it's tight and I don't want it to rattle on the frame or anything. So if I put a clamp on the tranny somewhere here, once I get it welded up, I think that should stop that vibration. Downpipe is welded. Look at that. Genuine Ford. Here I'm just getting ready to pull the engine I used to mock up everything up with. Getting it out. The other engine is at the machine shop right now. I pulling the motor mounts off to try to get the engine out without lifting the cab up. I ended up having to lift the front half of the cab up like 4 inches. Everything's still hooked up, electrical wise and stuff on the Ford portion. So it's about as high as you can really go without stretching stuff. 4 inches, and yeah, both. Then there was lots of room. Pulled the mounts off, came out pretty good. Pulled the Fummins swap out, just waiting on the engine to get back from being rebuilt. Finally, got the engine back from the shop. Still got to do some assembly on it, I guess. Injection pump. Needs a different oil pan, front cover, power steering pump, all the fuel system, oil pressure, oil filter housing. Needs some stuff still. So, get all this stuff on. Alright, I'm timing this pump here now. I have it TDC. There's a mark there. There's a dot here. And then this is a VE pump, so they either use E or C. And this engine is out of a school bus. Intercooler. It's a 92. But E there, and then this timing is lined up perfectly there to the scribe marks, and then also the locking portion on the pump. You can see there is a line right there, and that's actual pump timing itself. So you center it to that key with, and then this is the lock. So normally they have this little guy in there, and then you pull him out, and then you can tighten this down. The thing with the VE pumps is there's no indicator or detent or anything like that for this to lock down on. It's just a set screw basically on a smooth shaft. So I had to put a nut on here and turn it, and then when I got this lined up, it was under spring tension from the pump back here, riding up on the cam. So when I turned it just like, you know, a 32nd or maybe a little more, 1/16 of an inch, and then locked it under load there. So if I was to undo this, I'm sure it would move back just a tiny bit. And that's factory timing of 1.25 millimeters TDC. So that's of plunger lift, I believe. 1.25 millimeters of plunger lift. But I could be wrong. I've never done it that way. I've always just kind of put it this way and then bumped it up a little bit. So what I'm going to do now, because we're getting kind of close to the head here, I don't want any contact, because what I'm going to be doing is moving this up like 1/8 of an inch, something like that, and you know, getting a little bit close. I don't want to be hitting the head, or you know, out of stroke that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, since it's locked, I can't, like this shaft is locked to the pump body, I'm going to move it down all the way in the slot as far as it'll go. Still locked at factory timing because of that other lock, right? So I'm going to put this gear on and line it up with C. So now it's factory timing still, even though we're in C, but because the pump is cranked down all the way here. So this is the new factory timing, and now we have full pump slot for timing advance. So if this guy wants to go wild with it and crank this all the way up, I have the pumps locked, so I can't turn it now because I got the gear on. But if he wants to, he can move this the whole, advance it the entire slot, which is like almost 1/2 an inch of travel there. So I think I'm gonna torque this gear down, and then I'll release this pin, and then I will advance it, I don't know, what I think is about 2 or 3 degrees, and then we'll have to drive the truck and see if it likes it. I just torqued the gear. I'm on C there. I have the pump turned basically as far down as it'll go. I'm just gonna put another mark here just to indicate 0 or like base timing, I guess. Got my base timing line marked right there. So now what I want to advance this pump. So first I'm gonna have to release the lock. I'll just get there. I don't know if you saw that, but the pump itself actually went counterclockwise there. And you can see it is a little bit below the timing line now. So that'd be about, this is where it went after I released the lock. And that's where it was. And I want it about halfway between those 2 lines. Right about there. That should give us about 2 or 3 degrees more than our factory tag. Lots of room between the head and yeah, we're on C there. Made this killer dowel pin blocker. Fits really nice, and it's thick enough that this bolt can't physically come out because it'll hit the cover. So it should be locked in there pretty solid. I got this little tit welded on the end to keep it from rotating. If it ever did decide to come loose, it can't. Or it can't spin and go into a gear. So should be pretty stout. Some Loctite on here and torque it down. Okay, got my engine harness installed, along with the swap helper tack there, and all the wiring for that. Everything, alternator, AC compressor wiring is all there. All my sensors. This is the main ECU pin. This is the secondary ECU pin with the CAN bus in it. Got a EGT probe if he wants it, for like data logging and stuff. We've got intake air temperature. We got map sensor. Gold here is exhaust pressure sensor. Again, just for checking turbo performance. We have the harness here going for the coolant temperature, and the crank position sensor. That's the DCS kit there. Sensor and mount. Not bad. And then I have this other dampener on here with the 2 notches. So far, everything looks pretty nice. This comes off for your mass airflow. And this here is the wire for the box for the swap helper. It's mounted on the firewall. We have the wiring down here. We put in an oil temperature sensor. Here's a relay to run Yeah, that's what that's for. Swap helper and pump. Engine oil pressure sensor. Seems like everything's pretty simple. I just had to lengthen some wires, cut out a bunch of crap that we didn't need. So then we have a standalone EGT sensor gauge that we put in there. Nice spot. Really, the wiring is super easy. Super easy. The only trouble, I had one thing that I did wrong was the CAN bus. I cut the wires going to the turbo actuator, and I choked the wires up too much and didn't realize I had opened the CAN system and didn't hook it back up. Once I looped those wires back to complete the system, it was fine. It would communicate with the ECM. Everything was fine. It was just those CAN wires I created and opened in there. So yeah, everything is pretty well on, ready to do the adapter and clutch. We have Mike Fuchs accessory bracket and alternator bracket. It's not bad. I added this little plate in here. Bolts it to the water net jacket because there's quite a gap here between. Here's the last bolt here on the water neck. So there'd be about 10 inches of nothing on there. So I put this on here just to help with vibration. Rigid everything up a little bit. Factory, not quite factory position for this. I am going to have to lengthen this pipe here. I can cut it, splice in a piece, and it's about 4 inches. So it must be about 4 inches forward compared to, or 5 inches forward compared to the 6.4 that was in here. We ordered the DCS coolant piping kit. This is some intercooler piping that I had for my Jetta, and because this neck is straight up, doesn't fit too bad on there. Lifted this up, and then the other thermostat or heater hose is down there. So not too bad. Turbo intake, where you're going to use the Banks one that's in here from the 6.4, and it should be nice. Air filter. This horn is off the bus. It's quite a large diameter. Seems nice. I have the intercooler piping made over there to hook up to the Ford stuff. Yeah, factory fuel filter, factory oil filter. This is the, I think it's off of 8.3 Cummins. High volume, low pressure. And there's a spacer in there to get the distance right. And yeah, like we're getting there. Doing pretty good. This is the cruise one tab, and it goes in here. I just ground, there was a ball on here, and I just ground it down to fit the end, and it works really good. Move the dipstick to the back hole. Got it mounted there. Power steering, we're going to use the industrial pump here, and I'm just going to use the reservoir from the Ford. So it looks like it should work really good. It's got the big nozzle on it, and because the industrial one doesn't have a reservoir. Like if you use a Dodge one, it's got the reservoir built into it. This should be just nicer for topping up or checking the fluid level and stuff. Because this will be buried by intercooler piping and rad and stuff. So Anytime a guy can simplify something or use something that's already there, it's a win. Making a fuel line here. This is like a make your own ends kind of deal instead of crimping. It's a JIC fitting, and then this is just like hydraulic hose, I guess. It's fuel line, but this is what we're using. This was the fuel line that was used on the school bus that this engine came out of. And we just snagged it and taken the ends because they're pretty high quality looking. And this is the Ford push on quick connect, and I just cut it, put a double flare on it, and then adapted it to here. So, and this is one of the flare ones to a hard line that I cut off the school bus. And I don't know where it is. I must have threw it out, but yeah. So then this just plugs into the factory Ford one, and then this is what came on the school bus, and then this was going to go on the other end to go onto this fitting, which goes onto the fuel head right there. This guy right here. So should be quite nice. Quite nice. No hose clamps. This is the supply fuel line, and that just clicks into the factory power stroke, and then this just threads on nicely. Okay, I think I have everything pretty well done. Just putting the front on. Everything should be made, adapted, hooked up, except for this one power steering hose. That's going to go to the reservoir, which bolts here. Everything else, all the charge piping, all the wiring, is done. I got my power steering pressure hose. It's the industrial one. That's one of those, I don't remember what they're called, but they twist on your own hydraulic hose ends. And this is the rubber factory Ford, which goes up to the blue one there. I just cut the end off, put this on. Fuel lines I have on this side adapted down to the factory clip-in ones. Both of them there have them up. I just flared the ends to hook to the ones that came in the bus. Throttle linkages I have made here on this side. This is off of the Dodge. I've adapted it. This cable is out of like a 92, like 460 truck. And it bolts up direct like the pedal. Same bolt holes. Worked quite well. This cruise control is out of some other Ford vehicle, pretty generic. We put a rear sump oil pan in there, and there is quite a bit of clearance. Need to, I guess don't need to do anything really. This is off the bus also, fit nice on there. This is the banks off of the 6.4, and then this is just eBay coupler or U-bend, and the factory something I cut. And I put pipe, 4-inch pipe in the middle there so it clamps nice. Because I had to lengthen that hose right there. Come on, focus. See, there's a weld on it. About 3.5 inches. Everything seems to be pretty good. Heater hoses, one there. That's also the DCS kit. and they fit on there quite nicely. The wiring harness tees into the ECM there, and down below, swap helper is mounted down in there. Can't really see it. Don't know what else I can go over. Oh, and the Mike Fuchs adapter for the transmission. It's on the back there. See it right there. That is, yeah, ZF6 manual transmission, South bend clutch, flywheel, and there's a downpipe on this side. There's another. There's a starter, 6.4 starter, and a little spacer to fit up, and 4-inch downpipe. Everything seems to work as it should. I fired it up here the other day, and yeah, it seems to work good. Tack works. All the lights seem to work in the dash. No real issues. First drive. Took for a drive last night. One injector return line leaking at the back. One small hose clamp down there, seeping just a little bit right there to the bottom of this reservoir there. And the welded bung on the oil pan for the oil temperature sensor has a pinhole. Other than that, I think we're pretty good. Oh, and this elbow here, rubber elbow, is a used one, and there's a pinhole in it also. So change that copper washer, tighten that hose clamp. Gonna find a new elbow to put in there. Other than that, everything seemed to work really good. Haven't played with cruise control yet, but drivability wise, everything drove nice. Yeah, seemed to work good. I will say it does not have as much power as the 6.4 that was in it. It had a 40 horse chip on it. So I'm going to bump the fuel screw up and put as much timing in it as it'll take, and be happy. So that's what I'm doing now. I just changed that, tightened that. Gonna do the pump now, turn it up. Just tuning this V pump, trying to get it to not smoke so much on the low end. I backed the fuel screw out. It's an extra long fuel screw. That guy right there. And so I backed him out 2 turns from, like, it was wanting to hang, so I'd rev it up and it would stay revved up. And then if I let the clutch out, it would drop back down and idle fine. But it was hanging up. Not a linkage issue. Turn this down a little bit. And it's basically down here as far as it'll go before the nut hits down in there. So I'd have to drill that inside piece out if I want to go any further, because that nut hits down in there on the side before the stud hits. So it's physically, I could drill the inside out part out down like another 1/16 of an inch, and that would probably do it. The pin is really close to coming off the end of here. Like there's that little pin that rides in there. When you give it full throttle. So you just look in there, and I will work the throttle. There, you see it popping out? Or is it out already? Might have been out already. So no pin, and there's the pin. So when I work the throttle, it gets to like 3/4 throttle. That pin pops out. And so I want this fuel pin, I want that little pin to be riding just on the tip of this fuel pin here. Not on the ramp at all. So I want this pin as far up as I can get it without that pin falling off the end here. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'll just put this back together, make sure it fits good, and take it for a rip. Okay, 1500. We're doing 90. Let's boot it. Yeah, that's the trouble there. The EGTs just get buried. But it rips though. They drop down right away. Like as soon as you let off. Yeah, I'll go back down to 1500 again.